The UN Secretary-General Peres de Cuellar has this morning ordered an immediate investigation into the violence in Namibia. 40 people were killed just hours after a UN-mediated ceasefire came into force. South African reports said 38 SWAPO guerrillas and 2 policemen died in the fighting. Mrs. Thatcher, who flew into Namibia to give support to the country's move towards independence, has called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. Before returning home, she had talks with South African Foreign Minister Pick Botha. He's threatened to ask the UN peacekeeping force to leave Namibia until SWAPO can be brought to its senses.
This is a most serious challenge to the authority of the United Nations and to the agreement, and we condemn it totally. We must deal with it decisively, and through the Security Council and the international community, we are all behind that agreement.
In Alaska, a warrant has been issued for the arrest of Joseph Hazelwood, the captain of the stricken tanker Exxon Valdez. He is accused of operating the tanker while drunk and faces 2 years in jail. In Valdez, Exxon executives were given a rough ride by local people who say attempts to clean up the oil slick are woefully inadequate.
Are you really more concerned about money or the environment?
Mrs. Thatcher has summoned the Trade and Industry Secretary, Lord Young, to Downing Street later today to discuss the leaking of the report into the Harrods takeover. Today's Observer again calls on the government to publish the DTI's report into the purchase by the Al-Fayed brothers and the allegations made over it by Lonhro. Israeli troops have clashed with mourners at the funeral of a Palestinian shot dead by Israeli soldiers. They tried to disrupt the funeral procession by firing in the air and using tear gas, but mourners refused to retreat and were eventually allowed to pass. 420 Palestinians have died in the 15-month uprising against Israeli rule in the occupied territories. Finally, the Princess of Wales is reported to be in good spirits after returning home from hospital where she'd had her wisdom teeth removed. The princess escaped press attention by leaving from a side door whilst one of her attendants loaded a car at the front of the hospital to distract the cameras. That's it for now. There's more news later.